Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
Another episode of Chattin With Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. Okay, today's show is about two things that I know absolutely nothing about, all right? So at some point, all of us parents, we've wondered, are those sniffles, sleepless nights, or behavioral changes what we think they are? Or could there be something else going on? Well, today we're going to learn about airway dentistry. Yes, that is a thing. We have an expert here who is going to dig into what could be going on beneath the surface. But first, we're having a real conversation about end-of-life care. Yes, we are going there, but in a way that is empowering. An end-of-life doula is here to help us understand how normalizing the conversation about end-of-life care can actually lead to more peaceful, intentional goodbyes and clear up some big misconceptions about hospice along the way. Welcome, Tammy Jordan, end-of-life doula, and the Butterfly Days podcast.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to be here with you.
Well, thank you. This is, it's really cool what you do. And I can say that because we've been chatting and laughing. Mm-hmm. There can actually be humor.
Oh, for sure.
When we're talking about hospice and end-of-life care. So tell me about the podcast first.
The podcast is I provide support for Gen X and Gen Jones women. Gen Jones is a micro generation that's 1955 to 1965. We are the first generation of women who were told that we could be anything we wanted. It wasn't necessarily going to happen, but we are the first generation. There was such a shift. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we're not living our mom's midlife. Like, it's so different, and there's no real maps. Like, we were sort of brought up that being old is terrible, and you're over the hill, and you don't matter anymore after 50. And girl, it is not the truth.
It's not.
No.
We have realized that.
No.
So now you are also having to navigate hospice care, maybe for your parents.
Yeah, and those sorts of issues begin to become more important. Actually, we're sort of a sandwich generation right now because many of us are finishing up raising children and the parents are starting to have health challenges or perhaps need more support. So we're finding ourselves in the middle. And because I'm a doula, one of the things that I try to bring to the audience is to think about the end-of-life piece, right? Mm-hmm. And how can we support our parents? And I dropped an episode this morning talking about that it's okay to bring hospice up with parents.
Yeah.
Because I think people think if you bring up hospice, you're automatically talking about death.
Yeah.
You're not really. You're talking about care, because if you're dead, you don't need hospice anymore. So
that's all she wrote. Like,
you don't need it anymore, man. But you know what? In our society, Western society right now, death is like the worst thing. It is a failure. Mm-hmm. It's a medical failure. We've really medicalized how we look at aging and end of life.
Yeah, and we avoid it.
Yeah, and we avoid it. And I am I'm on a one-woman mission to break taboos around it. We need to talk about death. Why? Because we have 100% mortality rate on Earth.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah. It's the one guarantee.
It's the one guarantee between that and taxes, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't do taxes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you work for the IRS, just turn that part off. Okay.
Yeah. No, I do my taxes, but I don't address taxes. That's not my specialty. But I encourage people to start talking. Well, I think you sort of have to always start with yourself first. Mm-hmm. If you're comfortable thinking about the fact that you will one day not be here, you really begin to open yourself up, I think, to live more fully. There's an old philosophy called memento mori. It's a Latin phrase that literally means remember you die. I like to say it, remember you're mortal. When you keep in mind that your time here is finite, you're now given the gift of really using it, right?
Yeah.
And I want to encourage people that way.
Yeah, so you're not leaving your hospice care to someone else. you can determine what that'll look like.
And that's the whole thing. Is a lot of times there's a lot of myths. Oh, hospice means you're going to die right away. No, it does mean that a doctor needs to say they think you probably have a 6-month runway, but guess what? You can outlive that. Jimmy Carter did for 2 years. So you're not obligated, but the level and comfort of care that is provided by hospice in the final act of living is unparalleled. The support, the compassion, it's not just for the patient, it's also for the family. Hospice angles to help people do what 75% of people polled say they want. They want to die at home. They don't want to be in a facility hearing the monitors, smelling the smells, having their blood constantly checked. And hospice allows people, as best possible that's medically reasonable, to be able to stay in their home. If you called hospice, you would be, and you qualified, you would be offered a physician who will, oversee your care, a nurse who will generally come weekly until you need it more often. You get a social worker. Invaluable for what the social workers know that you can qualify for, or what you could get, or where to get something. And you also get access to a chaplain or spiritual support if you want it. And I volunteer, so you can also, I'm with Houston Hospice, we have volunteers who go out. So you really get wraparound care for somebody who is in the final act of living.
All right. And it's never too late to make these decisions, unless it's too late.
Unless it's too late.
Okay.
And the time to have conversations with each other about end-of-life-y things is when we're not pressed right up against it. So it kind of requires beginning to get a little brave and think about, well, I'm not going to be here. Wait, what do I want?
Yes.
You kind of, once you start thinking about what might I want, maybe getting brave enough to bring it up and talk, what do you think? If something happened to you, what should we know? That's really powerful, because God help you, something does happen. People can make choices that you wanted, because something it's critical for me is that the one thing in this life you should have full control over, full agency, is your body. What happens to it, how it's treated. Medicine is great, all the things, it's still your body.
Amen.
And you should be able to say, I want this, I don't want that. And to feel comfortable with that. And we don't always, because, the worst thing is to die. Chelsea, I don't think the worst thing is to die. Having been a doula and sat with a lot of people, I think the worst thing is to suffer needlessly.
Okay, all right. We have got to talk more about this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You guys will be back with much more. We recently did an interview with a hospice care owner, and we had follow-up questions. So we brought in Tammy Jordan, end-of-life doula. So first, explain what that is. What is an end-of-life doula?
Well, I'm certified in it.
Okay, big difference.
Yes, and so it's nice because I've been trained in all kinds of things, from sitting vigil with somebody, understanding stages a person might go through as they're really close to their end, but also things like I do consults with people sometime where I ask questions that we all need to know but we never thought to ask, like, if you are at the end, nearing your end, you're in the bed, would you like music? Is there poetry or scripture, or do you want friends to come over, or are you very private? Would you prefer? Would you like candles in the room?
Yes.
When there are even things like when you go, there are people who would like their body anointed before they're taken.
Wow.
There's so many more things now.
This makes me think of a birth doula. You can have all these details, candles, music, all that.
Whatever you want. And it's so very similar. A doula is just a support person. It's just a word for that. But we help people. I always think that birth doulas bring them in on the breath, right? And when you give it back, we're with you. if
love
we
that.
can be.
Yes.
But you can hire a doula independently, or I volunteer with Houston Hospice.
Okay.
So Houston Hospice is a nonprofit, and I love that. And I thought, you know what, for right now at this point in my life, that's kind of, I love their mission, I love what they're doing, and I love the wonderful people that I've got to meet through the program.
Yes, and then you're also doing the luncheon coming up as well.
Yes, I have the butterfly luncheon is coming up, and
You're the speaker.
I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Tasha Faruqi. Is a pediatrician who has 3 daughters, and her middle daughter has a condition that she's written a book about, which is really beautiful. And her book is about finding joy even in the grief of having a child who is really struggling, and her daughter was recently put on hospice.
Oh, wow. That's the other thing people don't realize. Hospice care is not just for elderly people.
No, ma'am. I have additional certifications. I have a regular hospice training, but I'm also have certification for pediatric hospice, and recently I completed dementia. Oh, wow. So we can help with a lot of things, and hospice for pediatric is really a blessing because it's people coming in and just really caring about you and what you do. A doula is non-medical care in the final act of living. Hospice is an overall medical, social work, and spiritual support for the final act of living, just to differentiate that.
Okay, all right. So here's the other barrier to having these conversations about end-of-life care. The cost. People feel like, I don't know how I would even pay for that, so why plan?
Right. Well, good news on that. I've got great news. Hospice is covered by, and please go check to make sure for your own personal self, but hospice is covered by Medicaid. It is Medicare, excuse me. It's covered by Medicare. It's covered by the VA. Okay. And most insurances have coverage for hospice. It's popular, it's comfortable, and it's very honoring. I think people think if we talk about hospice, is somebody going to die faster? No. That's not it. We're talking about, it's not about death, it's about comfort. And when cure is no longer on the table, let's keep your quality of life strong. Let's let you be at home where you're comfortable and your things are and your people are, as long as we possibly can.
Is there a time limit when it comes to being eligible for hospice care?
Great question. And this is the same for pediatric or for adult. A physician has to certify that they believe, given your medical condition, that you could have 6 months or less to live. Now, you don't have to only live 6 months. You can live well beyond it. As a matter of fact, if you go over a year, then you come off of hospice and you can be put back on again if need be. Okay. But it does need to look like that there's a window possible for you, and then you may be allowed to choose hospice and be able to stay home and not need to keep going out. That's a real comfort for people, whether it's pediatric or you're talking some of our beautiful seniors,
Well, thank you for making this uncomfortable conversation very comfortable, Tammy. Where can people connect with you and also find out more information about Houston Hospice?
Well, Houston Hospice is houstonhospice.org, and they can find everything they need. In addition, if they're looking for me, they can find me at TammyJorden.com. That's TammyJorden.com. Or my podcast, Butterfly Days, is on Substack, and you can find me at TammyJorden.substack.com.
All right, can't wait to hear more. Thank you so much. You guys, we will be right back in just a couple of minutes with airway dentistry and what you need to know about how it may affect your kids. Okay, be right back. Airway dentistry. I just like saying it at this point. So welcome, Dr. Justin Warcup. You are a pediatric dentist who is going to explain that. Let's start there because I'm just learning all sorts of things today. What is airway dentistry?
Yeah, airway dentistry is a growing part of dentistry. What we're finding is for years as dentists, we learn how to treat teeth. But what we're learning is I see the kids more frequently than the pediatrician does.
Oh, wow.
And when we are able to jump in on those formative developmental years, we're able to change the growth and development of children. We're able to create children who, as not just children, but adults who can sleep, breathe better, and actually have overall better health. So we're not just treating teeth anymore. We're treating the overall body.
Wow. Okay. So when I hear this term, I do think like breathing, airway, keeping it open. What are the symptoms that bring families to your office?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I'd say probably the most common are, things like, kids struggling to be able to get healthy sleep. They're tired all the time. They've got dark circles under their eyes. They are struggling to focus in school. They are being told that they might have ADHD, anxiety, depression, or even as common as being told that they need to have their tonsils and adenoids removed.
Oh, wow.
And families are coming in saying, is there another option besides surgery? Or is there another option besides medication that we can do to try to improve the health of their children?
How are they even linking that? Because it can be easier, I would say, just to follow the recommendation of the first doctor who says like, okay, just put your child on this or get those tonsils removed. It's easy to just go along with that. But these parents, they're digging a little deeper.
Yeah, I think people nowadays are really taking more control of their own health, right? They're willing to go with the adjunct of the internet and what's available. There's a lot of information online. Some of it good, some of it not good, right? But I think people are looking for more of a holistic approach. They want to see, can we avoid medication? Can we avoid surgery? And so they're digging into those options before just straight away accepting it. And so with that, there's been a lot of information that's come out in the past, I would say in particular about 10 years, 5 to 10 years, where we're understanding more about the body, more about health, more about understanding how sleep is a part of that. For years, what did we always say? We felt like it was a badge of honor to say, I only need 4 hours of sleep at night.
Right.
But what we're finding is that's not a good thing, right? We need optimal sleep for optimal health. And what we're realizing is part of our physical structure is impeding that ability for us. As a human species, our mouths are about 10% smaller than what they used to be as little as 300 years ago. Why?
Wow.
Because we started processing our food. We live in a hyper-processed food world. And because we're not developing our facial musculature, everything's shrinking. And when the mouth shrinks, the nose shrinks. And so our ability to get proper air in through the nose down into the lungs is drastically changing. But one of the things we look at is we've developed what we call the breathe method. It's our method for analyzing and evaluating each patient. We're going to look at what's the medical history, what are the concerns that parents have, then we're going to look at things structurally. And one of the most important things that we do, and not just our clinical examination, is we take a 3-dimensional x-ray. We're actually able to look into the nose, look at the size of the mouth and the palate, look at the tonsils and adenoids, measure them, see what the space is, look how a patient is growing. And then we can jump in and create a specific program and plan for each child. Sometimes that's not really me doing anything. Sometimes it's me being the quarterback to get them to the right person. Sometimes it's me being a part of a team of different practitioners to create the right process to change where that child is headed in their growth and development.
So if there are issues, is that just genetics? Do we just chalk it up to that, or could there be other things going on?
Yeah, I would say yes on both, right? Definitely genetics play a part. I think one of the most important things when I sit down with families is I like to learn a little bit about mom and dad. What is their orthodontic history? Tell me a little bit more. Do they have speech issues or their own behavior issues? And then we sometimes can link patterns in families. But there's also certain things like, what is their diet like? Are they mouth breathers? We know that thumb sucking, increased pacifier use, mouth breathing can all cause drastic changes. One of the curse of being an airway focused dentist is when I go out to eat with my wife and I see individuals walking in, I look and say that person's got sleep apnea.
Oh wow, you can just look.
Not always, but most of the time you can't.
Do I look like I snore?
No, not at all. You have a lovely smile, lovely teeth actually.
Oh, thanks. Sometimes I do, I'll admit. So what would be the steps for parents who are saying, maybe these issues that I'm seeing could be caused by something else. Maybe this is it. What should they do?
Yeah, I think either, coming into our office or an airway focused dentist and getting an evaluation. I actually think every child could benefit from it. The American Academy of Orthodontics says they want to see every child by age 7. The problem is by 5, 70% of the facial growth and development is complete.
Oh, wow.
And so if we look at that, and then most kids aren't starting orthodontics by, let's say, age 12, they're 90% complete. And so we missed a giant window, and then we're just only treating teeth. And so coming in and just getting an evaluation, and sometimes I'm looking and saying, I really like everything that we're seeing. We're creating a more holistic plan for that family to improve maybe some of just the patterns of what they're doing on a nightly basis to improve their child's sleep. Sometimes it's actually coming in and creating an orthodontic plan, the expansion, working with ENTs, working with a myofunctional therapist, and that's kind of like a form of speech therapy, but more like physical therapy for the tongue. And as we create that plan, we can create a better sleeper and breather.
So do not wait until all the baby teeth are out.
No, not at all. No.
Are there other solutions that parents should know about that may be an option for them as well?
This isn't just for kids. I mean, this is for adults also. And so our treatment, though I'm a pediatric dentist by specialty, our team treats all ages. And it's one where, as we get into the adult aspect, there's a lot of other things that we have to evaluate, whether it be digestive, weight, a lot of other things that come into play. But as we look to treat in a non-surgical approach, we're seeing individuals and families' lives completely change.
So cool. My brain is going today. All right. So where can the folks find you as well?
Yeah, at my office is called North Texas Smiles Pediatric Dentistry and Orthodontics. We're the founder and creator of the Breathe Method, and we are happy to treat anybody here in the area and looking to continue to expand the Breathe Method nationwide.
All right, well, we appreciate you blowing our minds today. Thank you so much. You guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Come back to me.
Thank you so much for watching today's show. We covered a little bit of everything from the little ones to the end of life. All right, so you guys, subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe and like at Chattin With Chelsea. Keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox. Wardrobe provided by Shirts Our Cachet Boutique, and we'll see you on the next Chattin With Chelsea.